Okay, so to do a forelock, basically all I do is a French braid and I loop it under. Everybody does a forelock a little bit different. Just making it damp. Rosie, put your head down. Okay, so I start at the top. I just kind of take a little bit of hair at the top. Let's put your head down. There we go. And I split that into two, and I sort of do a crossover with two, and I pick up my third piece. So here I have, on my left I have one, the piece in the middle, and on the right I have that's crossed under the third piece of the braid. And I just sort of do like a regular braid, but every time I've done a crossover, I take a little bit from the side. Rosie, come on, put your head down. And I add it into the crossover that I just did. So just like a French braid, and I pick up the piece that I had. So I do my crossover, add a little bit of hair, and you want to make sure that when you add the hair, it's fairly tight. So crossover, add some hair. I want to make sure that I don't take hair that's too far down the side of her forelock that passes the crossover I've just done. So I want to make sure everything is sort of in line. So crossover, add a little hair. I know Vegas's forelock isn't as wide as Rosie's. Sometimes you have to take little pieces or add little pieces. That's too much. So crossover and add it in. Sometimes the extra piece gets lost in the forelock. You can just pick up, I don't want to say random hairs, but it's okay if you pick up hair that's not part of that piece that's gone down the forelock, that's grown. It's okay to pick up a piece that's growing right from where you're picking it up. So crossover, add a piece, and when you get to the end, you can just pick, so crossover, and you can just pick up this whole extra piece and add it in. So in the end, you have only 3 pieces, and you're doing a regular braid like you do on the mane. And again, you add the yarn, there's it, like a regular braid. You want to make sure that you don't braid further down than the length of where you started. So the length of the forelock, that's all sort of the room you have to hide the hair. So this is okay because this does not go beyond where I started. If I braid it all the way to the end and it sticks out here, when you pull it up, it's not going to look right. So I'll tie it so just like the braids on the mane, loop over and through. Sometimes on the forelock I will, because it is a lot more hair than the braid you do on the mane, I'll do an extra, Rosie, an extra knot. So here I take my pull through, and just like on the braids on the mane, I slide it down the whole length of the forelock that I've just braided. You want to make sure that it is in the center. And sometimes it's tricky. You want to make sure that this little latch sticks out fully. So I put my yarn in and pull it all the way through. Rosie. Now here I have an extra tail that's not going to hide when I pull it up underneath. So what I do is I take the tail and I sort of just wrap it around the yarn a few times, hold the end, and see how it's sort of taken up here, and now it's a smaller tail. So just like on the main braid, you want to push it in between the two, and you want to pull it so it's flat on her head. You don't want too much excess hanging down from the end of where her natural forelock stops growing. Oops. So here I take my pull through and I go perpendicular to, no, I guess parallel to the halter, and latch it from one side, and I do the same on the other side. So here I have one piece of yarn, Rosie, coming on both sides from each side, and I do 2 surgical knots and tie it down, and 1. Take your scissors and you can cut this. You don't want to cut this exactly on the end of the knot where the knot ends or sits, but just a little bit above, and there you go. And here you can take, if you have extra pieces, maybe you didn't get it when you clipped, or they're just little pieces that are growing off the side, and trim them up. And there you go.